Hi, my name is Mallory. I'm a composer of music, and this is one of a series of videos I've been making giving some background into some of the music that I've written. Today I want to talk about a handbell piece called The Stars Await. This is a piece that's very special to me in a number of ways. I wrote this piece back in 2009. It was coming off of a few years of not having written as much music. It was also a time when I was getting more involved in directing handbell choirs. So Thanksgiving weekend of 2009, I didn't have much going on and decided to spend the weekend writing a piece of handbell music for fun. But I don't care if it ever gets published, ever gets performed, I just want to write something for my own enjoyment. And I'd had this idea for years, writing a piece of music that would depict the turning of day into night. But where many pieces that are written about night, and you think of the nocturnes written by a number of famous composers, most of them are very quiet and subtle in nature. Whereas for me, as someone with a fascination with astronomy, I've been an amateur astronomer since I was a kid, I even majored in astronomy in college for a while. To me, the turning of day into night is an exciting time because it's a time I can take out my telescope and explore the beautiful vistas of the universe. So I wanted to communicate that somehow through music. This piece uses what's sometimes called the Lydian dominant scale. I've also heard it called the overtone scale. Similar to a major scale, except it has a raised fourth and a flatted seventh. Talked about this scale in a couple of my other videos. Love the sound of the scale. I've used it in many of my original compositions. The beginning of the piece depicts the sunset. Maybe you've had this moment where you're out walking or out for a drive and you come across a clearing and suddenly, unexpectedly see this beautiful sunset in front of you. That's what's represented at the beginning with the shake, the singing bell that fades in, big dramatic chords in measure 3. Measure 11, we have the minor 5 to 1 harmonies. Love that sound as well. It's a sound that you get when you're basing your chords off of the Lydian dominant scale. At measure 14, we have the first entrance of one of the two main themes of this piece. There's a rising theme and a setting theme. Measure 14, you hear the setting theme as the sun is setting. Gradually, this section winds down. Measure 27, you have these repeated randomly rung Ds as the sunset fades away. And in measure 28, the hand chimes I use in this piece to represent twilight, that moment where it's not quite day, not quite night, right in between. In measure 29, we have the first entrance of the rising theme, which is based on a retrograde inversion of the setting theme. They're basically the same melody except upside down and backwards, since rising and setting are opposites. In measure 29, that theme is presented pointillistically, as one of my composition teachers used to call it. If you think about a pointillistic painting where the artist makes a painting based out of little dots of paint, in this case you have the notes of the melody spread among different octaves. Representing the stars coming out one by one. Gradually that coalesces into this energetic movement as we're setting up our telescope and preparing for a night of observing the sky. Measure 48, the rising theme comes in again. When we get over to measure 72, this is one of my favorite moments in the piece. It has an E-flat major chord, my favorite major chord, and while much of this piece is more intellectually based with the Lydian dominant scale and the retrograde inversions and so forth. And I love the science of astronomy and learning about all the math and physics behind it. But once in a while it's nice just to set that aside and just take in the awe and the beauty of the universe. So that's what's represented by this section from measure 72 through measure 79 with just some kind of fun rhythms going on. At measure 82, you hear the rising and the setting themes happening at the same time because some of the stars we saw earlier in the evening are beginning to set, where new stars are rising. At measure 99, you hear the chimes come back in. Twilight, as the night ends and the day begins. Measure 100, you hear the sun rise, the singing bell fades in, our shake comes back, our dramatic chords. This end section is almost identical to the opening section, except that it uses the rising theme now for the sun rather than the setting theme. Gradually it all fades away. randomly rung Cs as the glory of the sunrise fades into a new day. A couple of months after writing this piece, I saw a listing online for a composition contest that was being sponsored by the organization now known as Handbell Musicians of America. It was a contest in memory of David Davidson, a great handbell conductor. And the submission deadline was just a couple of days away, but I thought, well, hey, I have this piece I wrote a few months ago, I may as well send it in. The one thing I didn't have yet for the piece was a title. I bounced around some ideas for a title, and then I remembered this astronomy book that I loved as a kid called Star Watch. I used this book to learn most of my constellations. It was written by a man named Ben Mayer, who I had a chance to meet at a couple of astronomy conferences. You can see I got the book signed. And I remembered that one of the first few pages in the book, over the introduction, in big bold letters, was this phrase, "The stars await." And I decided that would make the perfect title for this piece of music. I was very honored and pleasantly surprised to have the piece chosen as the winner of the David Davidson contest. I was flown out to North Carolina in October of 2010 for the premiere of the piece, and was also presented with this very nice limited edition color cover copy of the piece with David Davidson's picture on it. Winning the contest got me some recognition in the handbell community and also some requests to write some more music. So in many ways, this piece really launched my career as a handbell composer, something which I'm very pleased to say has continued to grow over the past 8 years. As a little side note, I also used the prize money from the contest to buy an engagement ring for my, at the time, girlfriend and now wife, Emily. So as I've said, this is a very special piece to me in many ways, and if you're performing it or have a chance to hear it performed, I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. If you have other questions about the piece, you can get in touch with me through my website, ronmallorymusic.com. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Ben Mayer's book, Star Watch. "Glorious summer nights, the sky ablaze with myriad stars, the Milky Way waiting to be rediscovered, childhood memories to be recalled. What's out there? Where did we come from? Where are we going? Are we alone? How far is a galaxy? How long is eternity? The stars await."